Hello and welcome back to the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, where once again we're doing this whole edited re-record thing. Because I don't want to sound like an early 80s speak and spell. So for starters, we're going into this shrine right here. It's my first minor test of strength, so that's interesting. I took a moment to notice that the pillars here seem to be destructible. And that's why the first thing I'm going to do once this guy is up and running is attempt to destroy one. And sure enough, they are destructible. So I thought that was kind of neat. And then I focused on actually fighting this guy. He doesn't seem to have that much health, fitting with the whole minor test of strength, but I did realize that it was going to take a little bit of doing, and also should probably use an actual weapon that isn't broken. So I had no idea what he was doing here, and then, oh, suddenly that. And I noticed towards the end here that, yeah, there's an updraft, so maybe we can get a bomb to him, but it seems it goes too high. And then he stops doing it. And then I decided to try that, and it worked, but didn't really do too much. And didn't manage to do it that time. But it's alright. So he tries doing this nonsense again, and I decide to try the bomb again. But it never gets close enough. Which made me sad. And then he decides to be a little jerk and spam lasers at me for a while. And at least that time the bomb manages to hit him. Just doesn't really do much. And I remember that taking photos of things is a thing that you can do. And just for the record, in case you didn't watch the last episode, I am literally watching the footage as I am recording this commentary. Like, I originally recorded this episode nearly 2 weeks ago, but I'm just now getting around to being able to actually record. And so, I don't remember everything I did. What I do remember is being terrified that he was suddenly using the actual Guardian laser. And then, not only did he destroy the freaking pillar, but he decided to fire 2 more times, destroying my shield and then destroying me. So, I try and look for some countermeasures here. And those countermeasures involve getting a new shield. And then running in and trying to get him before he gets me. Doesn't work. So I am surprised to discover that we didn't take any additional damage after getting hit by the first laser. So, yeah. I was a little surprised by that. Anyway, we open this chest, discover a knight's bow, which is clearly superior to what I had been using at the time. So we get rid of one of our spiked Boko bows. Or no, we get rid of our soldier's bow because it's the lowest damage output. Grab the knight's bow again. And then we go to claim our orb. So, back outside, we go towards the bridge so that we may speak with Prince Sidon.
Say, hey there, young one. Up top, above you! Pardon the entrance, but you're a Hylian, aren't you? I was hoping perhaps you'd have a moment to talk.
So at this point, I comment on how he seems to have a bit of a flair to him. And I'd been kind of hoping that he'd be voiced the whole time we were talking to him, but unfortunately, no dice. Yep. Link is me, name is fantastic, etc., etc. Yeah, you probably have. And of course, he continues singing our praises. And at this point, I'm wondering why it is that rain can cause a problem for Zoras, who are aquatic creatures. But it'll be revealed in due time. And so at this point, I realize he wants us to basically go from lantern to lantern. So I decide to head from lantern to lantern. And it's very nice of him to believe in us like that. Also, at that point, I realize that that pose of his is going to see a lot of use. And this electro elixir is a sign of things to come. You see, in this episode, recording this episode, I developed a very large fear of all things electric in this game. Or at least all enemies electric. Because some things are going to happen. So I just check out the electro elixir, because we got it. And then we just go from lantern to lantern, fighting some enemies along the way. Not that it needs to be seen. Because, yeah, combat in this game is combat in this game. Get rid of him and continue on. After checking the sign to make sure we're going the right way. Make our way to another lantern, then continue, and then another lantern, and continue further. And suddenly we are accosted. Oh. How anxiously. Also, look at those frozen birds. And so we continue further. Just take a look around to see if there's anything to be had around here. Seems there isn't. And suddenly rocks! And we find the source of the rocks, or so I assume it to be. Kill several Lizalfos in this camp of Lizalfos. And then discover this little metallic ball with a chain connected to a well. So I figure, hey, we're supposed to break the chain by pulling the ball away from the well. That is my first thought, because I look at the well and see, hey, that's pretty shallow. So I try to pull the ball away, but the chain holds it fast, so I decide, hey, maybe they want us to put it in the well. And sure enough, that's exactly what they wanted. And so we find more lanterns to follow and continue on.
Hey!
And we're accosted again! And this time he's got duck friends. And I'm also wondering at this point why he doesn't just go all the way ahead. But I guess he does want to look out for us, which is nice of him. At that point, I forgot that it was the L button and not the R button to use the camera, so I couldn't take any photos of ducks. And then I'm just wondering what the heck that is that we can target. And it turns out to be a terrifying creature. Because it does 3 hearts of damage just by touching us. Also, it makes us drop our weapon. Also, it's got those zappies. And it's just generally, this thing ruins my day. So I drink the electro elixir as soon as I can. And it does cut the damage down to just 1 heart, but that, unfortunately, is still way higher than I would have liked. So that right there kind of scared me about enemies that could do electric damage. But we press onward, finding the path once again, finding some Lizalfos dancing around a fire. We give them what they deserve. And we find more and give them what they deserve. And then a bridge, which we attempt to cross, but we're accosted again. And at this point, almost halfway, we've been quite a ways already. But on we go. Of course, delivering justice to this Lizalfos as well. And then I notice he's got a little explodey barrel and figure, hey, maybe I can bring that with me to use later. And so I do. And find this rock here and figure, hey, maybe we can blow it up. So, we place a bomb next to the explodey barrel, and we lit a lot of grass on fire, but we did not destroy the rock, which made me a little sad. But we can just climb around it. It's not hard. Not much of a barrier. And here, bad things happen. So I'm going for this one Lizalfos. And then we get some shock arrows launched at us. I didn't realize that I dropped my weapon at this point, so I try to attack this guy, but can't. So we get out another weapon. And that works, but then we take another shock arrow and we drop our weapon. This time I notice it. So I decide to go looking for the other one we dropped. Find that instead. Get zapped again. Think to get out the camera because maybe these Lizalfos shooting us are a different type than usual. eat some apples, or mushrooms, rather. Yeah, this little gauntlet here was not good. Not kind. But we get one Lizalfos down, which means that the other one can't be too far behind. And yet we still end up using another fairy, rolling down the hill and losing some health. But he can't survive forever. And he is done, and my fear of electric attacks is cemented. So on we go to this crossing. And part of me thinks that Sidon will call out to us again, but another part of me thinks, no, he's got to be way too far below. But no! He accosts us again. And here I noticed that there was a ring of rocks on that little island down there, and that I knew had to be something. So, oh no, a moblin happens. It does some damage, but not enough. So we give it some whacks, and over it goes. Sadly, we don't get to take its loot, but we don't really need it. So, remembering that ring of stones, I decide, hey, let's hop up onto this rail so that we can put a pin in it. Because we certainly can't put a pin in it from below the rail. And there goes the pin, so that we can remember it for later. So we climb up this mountain, because it's there. Even though it seems to not be taking us towards Zora's domain, it does seem to be glowy, which I found interesting and possibly meant something. Find a rock up here, decide to lift it. Sure enough, there's a Korok under it. Give that rock a nice toss, just to satisfy my curiosity. And then realize that there's not much else to do up here, so we head towards the bridge. And by this point, I realize I had been playing for about 45 minutes. Thought that rock looked suspicious. It didn't have a Korok, but 20 rupees is nice. But yeah, decided that this was a good place to end the episode, despite my desire to go into Zora's domain. So, join us next time when we cross this bridge into Zora's domain. See you then, friends.